How's it going, everybody, and welcome to another Planetary Annihilation Titans commentary. I am your host, Krennic. This is the replay between Discrape and B13, so it looks like this is going to be quite a challenging game. Discrape currently holds a third highest ranking in Planetary Annihilation Titans, and B13 at the moment is the #1 platinum player in PA Titan, so it looks like we're gonna have a really interesting battle on a rip side system. We are about to begin. Let's just have a look at what Discrape B13 are gonna pick as the landing locations. And it looks like they have both begin. Let's have a look at who is landing on the close side. Looks like Discrape is gonna land closer, and he is gonna go straight for a naval factory. That's not gonna give him much intel at the start, considering ships are quite slow, so he is not gonna get as much intel as possible. I was expecting something like an air factory at the start, but it looks like we are gonna go straight into offensive right here. Let's have a look at B13 and see what he's up to. He is also going for a naval factory, and as we can see, that factory is producing fabricated bots straight away. It looks like air factory is going on next straight away, so we are gonna have something here to actually be able to gather some intel on the enemy, because as we know, planes have really high mobility, so they'll be able to produce units pretty quickly, but they also will be produced units that are actually quite fast. So really good approach from B13 at the moment. Let's switch back to Discrape. Really similar approach over here, but the only difference in between them is Discrape is already having his economy on a really high standard. So we can see B13's economy is already dropping down a little bit, so that puts him in a little bit of a disadvantage. But it looks like we have UpHere and a couple of piranhas already engaged, but it looks like, yep, B13 has just gathered intel with his hummingbirds. He knows what's coming, and he is gonna have to react really quickly to the threat. But it looks like we already have some piranhas in place as well. Let's see what will B13 actually be able to do, because it doesn't look like he's got anything other than his commander to actually withstand the orca right now. Those piranhas has also been spotted by Discrape, so he knows exactly what is going on. He is gonna keep his scout back as much as he possibly can, making sure his Firefly stays away as long as possible, just so he can gather as much as intel as possible. Radar in place from B13, so you can see whether there are any potential threats. First fight, and it looks like B13 is going to win this one, considering he has more air units than Discrape at the moment. So really good approach from him at the moment, but it looks like both of those piranhas are going to take each other down. So quite an even fight going on this flank. The only problem is Discrape has an economic deficit, and it looks like he is only on 50% efficiency. That's gonna give the B13 kind of an early advantage in the game, but B13 also suffers from economy actually, so not much can happen here really. At the moment, Discrape is focusing on maintaining his economy as much as he possibly can, especially with energy, making sure he can sustain those factories as long as possible. On the other hand, let's have a look. Looks like we have some orcas coming from B13 as well, and another air engagement from Discrape, but he is quickly going to be taken down. But those piranhas are already dealing quite a devastating amount of damage to B13's economy, but that bumblebee really seems to be doing his job, and it forces B13 to play a little bit on the defensive side. This is not what we want to see. This is exactly what Discrape wants. He wants to keep him on the defensive as much as he possibly can, and it looks like we have another orcas, another metal extractors coming from Discrape as well, but we also have extra orcas coming into position. But it looks like at the moment, looks like B13 is really keeping up with the air factories, really making sure he can get as much of air control as possible. And looks like we have a first vehicle factory coming into the place as well, along with some turrets, making sure this vehicle factory can stay alive as long as possible. Really good. He is slowly consolidating his power on the ground as well. This is what we like to see. Unfortunately, that factory has actually gone down, considering he has put more emphasis on that defensive turret instead. But it looks like he is about to start building that factory again. No, not yet. Looks like we're gonna have some walls in place first. We don't really see walls being used a lot in PA times, but at the moment looks like this vehicle factory is no longer being built. So I'm not entirely sure what B13 is trying to do here, but we have quite a large fleet coming from B13 at the moment. But also those orcas from this script can really do some damage, and it looks like they are gonna go towards that mountain, making sure this naval factory does not produce units on time. We also have fabrication ships already in place, increasing the efficiency of this factory as quickly as possible, and those orcas are gonna go heavily, and it looks like B13 is going for an attack straight away. However, that scout gathers enough intel about what is actually going on, and my question is the Scrape gonna be able to actually defend himself? Because 6 orcas in an early game is quite a powerful unit to be used. So looks like we have even more orcas coming from B13 as well. He's really doing well in the early game, considering his he is lower rank than the Scrape. Not much lower, but still I felt like the Scrape could be reacting slightly better than that at this point of the game. Looks like we have bot factory on the ground already, also making sure those metal extractors on the ground are also consolidated. It looks like this is pretty much an even game, but another air engagement coming from them both. And it looks like they're gonna finish on this. They're gonna make sure that they don't lose any more air units. Commander is getting involved a little bit as well, and it looks like that commander is gonna get involved in producing some torpedo launchers. Really good but basic defense against any potential naval threats. So really good approach here. Looks like we have another torpedo launcher in place as well. So he is playing aggressively, but he also makes sure that his defenses are set up the way that should be. So really good approach here from B13 at the moment. His economy is suffering, but he's only on 80% at the moment, so it's not that much big of a deficit in terms of energy. But he is still doing pretty well, and it looks like you have a first major naval engagement going on at the moment. And it looks like those orcas are gonna engage against those barracudas. And we know barracudas are really effective as they are on the water. These are little submarines, so these are really difficult targets to hit right now. And unfortunately, those orcas are going to go down. I don't think B13 really thought about this kind of defensive approach from this Scrape, and unfortunately those orcas are gonna go down. That was quite a good approach coming from B13, but unfortunately those barracudas really did their job. But some of those orcas are still going, some of those orcas still trying to get some economic damage towards the Scrape. But the last orca is also gonna go down. Quite unfortunate. But at the moment, B13 looks like he has quite a lot of ground covered, both on air and both on the sea. So really good. This Scrape's commander decides to get involved, pushing quite heavily towards his ground. It looks like this is gonna be quite a heavy engagement. Quite a lot of risk going on right here as well, considering he is pulling his commander straight into the battlefield without any defenses. Risky, but you're gonna have to wait and see about what impact that commander is actually going to have. And it looks like he is already damaging B13's economy, but those drifters are going to attempt to deal as much damage as possible. The Scrape was attempting to build something, however that was quickly taken down by those drifters. Looks like at the moment that commander is also gonna concentrate on developing some economic damage towards B13, but we also have a vehicle factory in place that is being built faster than it can be destroyed. So there needs to be more firepower dedicated to this, but unfortunately I do not think there is enough time. This factory is about to go online. Secondary fire coming from this commander. And it looks like this factory is already online. It's taken some damage, but it's already building drifters as well. So quite a good approach. He did manage to get the factory online right next to his enemy. So very, very risky approach. But it looks like we have grenadiers coming from B13 as well. But reinforcements are coming. Reinforcements are coming, and it looks like they are going to take this factory down slowly but surely. Those sparks are really doing their job, and it looks like this factory is gonna go down really, really quickly. That commander is also getting involved in the firepower, and he is making sure that that factory is gonna go down. He is slowly consolidating the power on the ground as well. We also have drifters slowly destroying this factory as well, but it's gonna take him ages to destroy this with a single drifter. So quite unfortunate, but it looks like this scrape is slowly gaining greater power on the ground. So really interesting to see this here. But it looks like on the sea, B13 is definitely dominating at the moment, and it looks like he is going straight for this scrape's base, and it looks like that naval factory is gonna go down really quickly. There is nothing to defend it at the moment, and the factory is losing its integrity really, really quickly. Currently at 5%. It's gonna go down really quickly. Commander is also getting involved in the fight. Really risky, but he is making sure that those speedo launchers are taken down before his commander can move any further. Unfortunately, this scrape's commander is on the ground. Has took some damage, but he is also consolidating his power on the ground as much as he possibly can. So really good approach from this scrape at the moment, but this is a giant fleet. This scrape can't really push his commander any further, because as soon as he pushes his command further, there is quite a lot of firepower gonna be concentrated on him. So quite a risk. We also have some further damage to his economy as well. So it looks like at the moment, the scrape looks like he has an advantage. He is covering quite a large area, but still the attack from B13 does not stop, and it looks like he is gonna go for another attack on his base. Unfortunately, those barracudas are really doing their job, and it doesn't look like there is anything that's gonna take it down. There comes the air attack from this scrape, and he is gonna quickly force B13 to fall back. Quite a large naval units coming from him as well, and it looks like he managed to stop him. He managed to stop him. His commander is quite in the open, so this is quite the risk to leave him there. Another air attack coming from the scrape as well, and it looks like he is concentrating his fire heavily on those hummingbirds coming from B13, and it looks like they all have been taken down. So really good defensive approach from this scrape. But still, that fleet that is close to this mountain and really close to the scrape's commander, this can be quite a risk, but it looks like another major attack. But that commander is taking heavy fire. He is going to be forced to fall back. This is quite a risk, quite a risky approach coming here from the scrape. That commander is going to take heavy damage. Now he realized what actually is going on, and he is going to force his commander back a little bit. We have a really interesting glitch, and the commander is changing colors for some reason. But he is slowly putting that commander back, make sure this factory can go down. But unfortunately, that's not going to be enough, because his commander just took really, really heavy damage. So he is going to be forced to actually just fall back, let the factory stay on as long as possible. But it looks like we have Orca going right towards his base again. That Orca is going to take heavy damage, but unfortunately, that Orca is going to go down. Those barracudas from this scrape are doing really fantastic job. They really taking down those orcas at the moment. We have enormous amount of torpedo launchers coming from B13 as well. He is slowly pushing his boundaries further and further on the sea. Those barracudas are also coming from B13, making sure he can take out as many ships as possible before he can advance even further. Really good naval approach coming here. But it looks like we have another air battle, and it looks like those hummingbirds are gonna go for a 50-50. I want to see which ones are going to be taken down first. Is it going to be B13 or is it going to be this scrape? And it looks like we have really low amount of units left, but it looks like they both going to fall back as well. Those drifters are also damaging that bot factory slowly, but in about a matter of minute. If they don't take any extra damage, they can go down. We have really large concentration from both sides towards the factory. And it does look like that factory is gonna go down, so we currently have about 7 units concentrate on his bot factory. Those grenadiers won't be really able to do much, and yeah, that bot factory is going down, and looks like this scrape has consolidated pretty much the entire ground area. Little bit of stuff going on here in the middle, but it looks like those doxers are really doing their job. Both this scrape and B13 are suffering from economic damage, so it looks like they are both struggling at the moment. It keeps jumping between 80 to 60%, so they are both suffering really heavily. However, this is still anybody's game, and it looks like this scrape is gonna go straight for B13's main base. Those drifters are really doing their job really well. Icarises have also came into play, and it looks like another major attack coming from the scrape, but unfortunately all of those hummingbirds are gonna go down. Really aggressive. It is literally just a battle after battle, so really interesting to see this. That radar really allows B13 to see what's going on the sea, as long as somebody goes over. And it looks like we have an Annihilation. Let's actually just rewind this a little bit. What actually happened here? That commander's pretty safe. Has he just decided to surrender? It looks like that commander just decided to surrender. Not entirely sure what the reason was, but it looks like this scrape has surrendered, so I'm not entirely sure why. That's really interesting. This still look like anybody's game. It's probably because those Augurs really dealt devastating damage to his economy. Looks like B13 and his Augurs have really done an absolutely enormous attack, and it looks like they did take down everything that this scrape has owned, and that resulted in the scrape having to surrender. Unfortunately, there was no way that this scrape was able to defend any of this, so GG B13. Again, really good game. Thank you so much for watching another Planetary Annihilation Titans video, and if you'd like to see more, then don't forget to subscribe. I'm Krennic, and I'll see you guys in the next one.